Hey everybody, it's the first week of February, and we've got the Boardgame Mechanics. I'm Joel, and with me as always is...
Jason. Yay. Episode 3. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this has been really fun, and I'm going to just start off the show by saying, wow, what the heck. The Riveted, you guys are quite the fan base. You're like doing something pretty spectacular out there right now.
I agree. Yeah, it's amazing. We're like a month into it, and things are just going crazy. I mean, we've gotten some shout-outs from some designers and gotten way more likes than I ever thought we would have gotten this quickly.
Oh, absolutely. 150 likes, I think, as of today, which is pretty amazing. And then getting some top 25 or a top 25 designer on Board Game Geek, and then I'm certain that DeBerry's like what, a top 200 for sure.
Yeah, I
designer.
think so. Yeah.
I mean, just giving us a shout out, like acknowledging we exist. That's pretty amazing. So, some exciting stuff going on. If you haven't been over to our Facebook page, that again is pretty much where we keep everything up to date. It's where we do all of our central posting and keep everything fresh. So if you haven't been there, we are on facebook.com/the Boardgame Mechanics. I think that's right, Jason?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. You should head over there and like us. It's been really fun to have so many likes on the Facebook page, but honestly, that's where any news that we have, any kind of updates to the show schedule or anything like that, we post there. And then also, if you aren't over there and liking us, then you're missing out on some exclusive video content. We do at least a couple of videos a week over there of just kind of looking at a board game or unboxing one or something kind of cool. And then you've got a brand new series you're working on over in the Southern Studios there too. So do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I'm just doing a little shelfie deal. I know how people love to see what games people have. So I've just been kind of going through one shelf at a time, dropping it every day. And I think I'm going to do part 5 tomorrow. We'll see what games are on there, but yesterday, or the one that dropped today, was full of the good games.
Well, and like I pride myself in knowing about every game. I mean, when stuff comes out, I generally try and look at it and see what it's all about. Watch at least a little bit of some video about it. Look at some pictures of the board and stuff. And you have some games on your shelves that I'm like, wow, I've never seen that game before. So it's been kind of fun to get a chance to see some stuff I don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's a reason why you don't know about it, but I try to only keep games that are at least okay. I mean, I don't hate it. If it's on my shelf, I'm not going to hate it, so there's always that.
But I think the other part is, too, you and we're the Board Game Mechanics. Our kind of thing is we're a little bit blue collar. We aren't game snobs. We'll play about anything, and I mean, like, I've bought some bargain bin games for, 75% off, and sometimes they're home runs and sometimes they aren't, but they're still in my collection sometimes. So,
I agree. Some of the games we've got on like Black Friday sales have been some of my favorite games. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, my most recent one that I got on a really good deal is I got Hyperborea for $25, which sold for like $100 initially. And that game is one that I've never heard anybody say anything about, and it's so cool. But I'll talk about that one sometime after I actually get it played. I've just read through the rules and watched some Let's Plays right now at this point. But give us a shout out if you've played Hyperborea. Like, let us know if it's any good. Do that for any of these things we're talking about. Like, we'd love to get feedback from you guys.
Yeah, I thought you were going to talk about Kanban to rub that in my face some more.
Oh,
I was going to get kind of cheesed off about that.
You know what? I think Kanban's one that, like, I don't know. I'm going to see what the Stronghold Games, like, reprints like. And if it's decent, and I can get a copy like 3/4 cheap, I'll trade you my exclusive pretentious European copy that I have coming. So
that's the one that I want. I like the pretension of that game.
Yeah. Well, and then like everyone's collection's so personal to them. So like I kind of got into it today on a thread on Facebook. Not horribly, I mean, but just with what I think some games are worth and what other people think they're worth. And like people were kind of like saying Bruges is a $30 game, $40 game. I'm like, are you kidding me? Maybe for a German edition right now, but
yeah,
I mean, I know that.
Yeah.
You can't find an English edition for under, I don't know, probably $65 at least. So whatever. Anyway, that's what I guess going full circle on that. Like that's why your Shelfie series is so cool. Like it's stuff that you really love, and like to hear you talk about it and talk about why you love it is kind of cool. So I enjoy that. And then I've been doing some board game spotlights as well. On some games that I've tried to pick games in particular that I don't think people have seen or are like kind of out of print or stuff that like my favorite thing to do is find a game that is out of print but still in supply. And then people can go out and get a copy for themselves before it's like a Grail game again. So that's kind of like a heads up I'm trying to give people on. Like Clash of Cultures is the one I did a couple weeks ago. And I think I might even mention that in the show. But that's, I mean, I still strongly suggest people go try and find a copy of that if they want a good Civ builder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super into those games, but that does seem kind of interesting to me. And I like it even more because Tom Vassell doesn't love it. So I usually go the opposite direction of him. So,
yeah. Well, same thing with Hyperborea. Like when I found out Tom Vassell didn't think it was that great, I was like, he'll like this one probably because it's the dudes on a map, and then he didn't really like it. So I was like, oh man, maybe I'll really love this game. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly usually value his opinion at least somewhat, but the guy who I'm always on board with, I mean, we're kind of going off topic here, but that's okay. I mean, I don't think you guys have anywhere to go. You're listening to a podcast. You're probably in the car or something. I don't know. Like Sam Healy's the dude I think I have the most in common with taste-wise. I know that's definitely not your kind of games too, but I don't know. Yeah, so this is a really awesome endorsement for the Dice Tower. So Dice Tower, will you like throw us a bone and give us an endorsement now or what?
Yeah. I actually think I like all the Dice Tower guys, but I actually think I prefer Rado's tastes. He's a little more Euro and Hare Bear, and that's me all the way.
Or Ryan Metzler is the guy in the Dice Tower that is way into Euro games that I can see your taste matching with his.
Oh yeah, every review he does, I'm like, dude, I need this game. This is an amazing game.
Yeah, he loves his Euros. Well, anyway, another cool video thing going on too, I think it was just announced today, is that we're adding some more contributors to the channel. So that's something, I don't know how soon are we going to see that, Jason?
I think they're shooting for Saturday, actually. And they are Katie Sandy Smith, my wife, and Kim Breeze, who right now is just, she co-hosts a podcast over at the Chance Cube. It's about Star Wars Destiny. So they're going to be doing some stuff on our channel.
Oh, that's fantastic. I did get almost a sneak peek of this. I saw that when Katie was doing her top 100 on Facebook, Kim sat in on a part of it, and they can get kind of zany together. So I'm kind of curious to see how this all ends up coming out. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Yeah, I think it'll be really fun too, actually. So I'm really excited to have them doing some videos for us too. Honestly, if you're looking for more content on just the world of board games because you're addict and you just love this stuff like we do, I seriously, our Facebook page has stuff on it every day. So look forward to seeing some people who came there. If you like us because of this endorsement, just give us a shout out. And we do the highest of fives for new people who want them. So, throw us a high five and we'll high five you back. So anyway.
Yeah, it's true. We do love high fives. We gave some penguin high fives today, which was pretty sweet.
Heck yeah. Well, anyway, down to business, I guess. And wrapping this up, just in conclusion, I guess, just want to say thanks for all your support so far. And we've grown this thing. Jason, you've done a ton of marketing, I guess I'll say it. And I know that, that's done a lot to help grow us. But I know that you guys are out there talking about us too. So I really appreciate that. So keep doing it. Keep sharing the word saying, hey, these guys are brand new, but we kind of enjoy them. So check them out. I really appreciate that. I know Jason does too. If you subscribe, that's huge too. When people subscribe, and share our stuff and then review it, the way how the algorithms work on Google Play and on iTunes, it makes us more visible to people too. And so, I mean, obviously we love just having the conversation here that we record, but I think we like to have people who give us feedback and talk back to us too and know that people are hearing it. So if you can do that to help us, we love it. We really appreciate it. So that's the last of the public broadcasting plea for your support that I'm going to do today. But we really do appreciate it. And thanks for all the likes and thanks for all the subscribes. And honestly, this thing has gotten more listens in a month than probably the most popular podcast I was on in a month. So maybe not quite, but really close. And that's, after 6 months of growth or something. So really feeling supported, really feeling loved by you guys. Really appreciate it. Well, anyway, enough of that. Today, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to talk news. We're going to look at what we played in the last week or two. And then we have a feature today games. This is one that Jason came up with. Games based on real people and real locations. That's something that I don't think I've really ever seen a list of. And I think you're right, Jason. That's a good list. It's kind of cool. So
it seemed different. I mean, everybody talks about top gateways and stuff, but no one ever talks about games named after places, which there are like a million of them. So, I mean, there's got to be a couple good ones in there.
For sure. Absolutely. I've got a couple in there, and it's so hard because one of the location games I just played this weekend, and I'm gonna want to talk about it early, but I've got to like restrain myself so I can have something to talk about later. Anyway, so the first board game news was this first group of board game news was the excitement happening over at the Boardgame Mechanics, but there's more than that. What else is happening in the world of board games, Jason?
Yeah, I found a sweet Kickstarter game. The only reason I even looked at it, well, the main reason, I love Five Tribes, and this has a Mancala mechanic, and I love Mancala. It's so fun. It's so, like, I have this little app on my phone that's Mancala, and I can sit and play that for like 2 hours. But anyway, that's beside the point. This game's called Deja Vu.
Virtual Mancala. That's pretty awesome. You know that they, like, if you go to any Goodwill in the world, you can get a Mancala board for like 7 cents or something. Just a pro tip for you there.
Well, I have a Mancala board from Africa that was handmade. It's pretty sweet. But, again, that's beside the point. The first game, well, the only game.
That does sound sweet, but you can't really take that with you into the waiting room at the doctor's office very well, can you?
You can. You'll just get funny looks. But whatever. And I actually think it's missing some pieces. Or all the pieces are the same color or something. I don't know. It's weird.
I've got to tell you something. I'm not above some funny looks, personally. But whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I get them wherever I go to. It's just part of life, I guess.
I did look at this one too because you were like, "Oh, this looks great," and I think it looks pretty interesting. I'm personally not going to back this one just because there's so much stuff out there that I want to pick up or get involved with. But if you buy it, I'll certainly play your copy. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, like I had it backed actually when it came on. I was like, dude, this is sweet. And then I watched Rado play it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty neat. The 2-player game is actually why I wanted it, because unlike Five Tribes that has the weird, you have to bid twice, and then turn order can be one person takes one turn, the other person takes two. This one's just normal turn order, and the board doesn't empty; it keeps refilling. So as you're picking stuff off the board, there's like a mechanism where the things you spend, they go into this like waiting pool. And then once that's full, it goes back out on the board. So there's always a bunch of stuff on the board that you can use to get the cards out of your hand and stuff. So it has cool art. I think it's from China because the money they were asking for Hong Kong dollars. So I think it's a Chinese company.
That's crazy too. That there's more and more, like, Asia is becoming much more of a like games region in the recent months and years. When I was first getting into games, it was like every good game came from Germany almost, and recently people have really been going to that, like, I think it's the Tokyo Games Fair, and that's where a lot of these games are coming from nowadays. I mean, there's just a lot of really cool things coming out of Japan games wise too.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of Asian games. The couple that I played, I mean, I have Hanamakoji, which I think is from an Asian designer, Emperor S4. I'm not sure if it's Korean or Chinese. It's one of those two. But yeah, I like all the Asian games I played. I really like them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. What's the name of it? I don't even remember what the exact name of it is, but there's like a award they have, or like a contest they have, where it's like you design a game that costs less than like 7 yen or something to make. And I know that's what Love Letter came out of, is that contest. And I think it's still an active contest, and that's why some of those little box games come out of Japan. There are just some really cool things that come out of Japan for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So,
the Hate Kickstarter that we talked about last week is approaching $1 million, which is pretty crazy to think about given how polarizing it is.
That really is crazy. Didn't you say that was the same designer as Zombicide?
Yeah, it is. I forget the guy's name, but he's done a lot of stuff for Simon.
It's so crazy. So crazy.
Right. Well, and then the other one that came out on Kickstarter this week that I was like, oh, do we really... It maybe didn't come out this week, but Tiny Epic Zombies. I was like, do we really need another zombie game? I don't know. Whatever. Do we need another tiny epic game, and do we need another zombie game? Like
that's
both
the real
those questions
question.
into my head.
Yeah.
So, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, like these games, it's the most like true form of like capitalism with Kickstarter. Like you vote for what you want to have happen with your dollars, and this stuff's getting funded. So I don't know. I feel like there's kind of a bubble there to a degree with the Kickstarter stuff that I don't know if it's going to last forever, but for right now, there's some really interesting stuff that gets funded and funded big. So
Yeah.
go at it.
I like Kickstarter. It's just half the time I'm not interested in the games. So that's my issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done plenty of Kickstarters myself. I mean, and there are times where you really feel like you're doing well by doing the Kickstarter, because you feel like you're helping a small company, achieve a goal, and you feel like they appreciate it enough that they're going to give you a really nice product back, like with some extras and stuff. The thing that really has kind of turned me off to Kickstarters a little bit, and I know this obviously isn't what we're talking about tonight, but the whole thing of like, you pay $70 for your pledge level, and you end up getting like maybe a playmat or something that you wouldn't get in the retail version, you think, and then it goes out into retail and at cool stuff, and it's selling for like $32 within like a month of when you get yours, or not even a month. That's really irritating to me. And then the playmats on their website for like $8 or whatever. So I mean, like that's pretty frustrating. But I don't know. The only thing that I think on Kickstarter right now, I mean, speaking of Japan, is the Tokyo series. That looks kind of cool on Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that, but I don't know. That's something I think I need to watch the videos a little more of.
That's like the popsicle stick games, right?
Like they're like
Tokyo
really
Highway.
Yeah, they're really like Tokyo Metro.
Yeah.
And they're really colorful games. They're pretty neat looking, honestly. And they obviously they got their backing real quickly. But yeah, I don't know, mixed bag. We'll do a show, I'm sure, about Kickstarters at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, whatever. So that's it for news, I think, right?
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, just the one game.
In personal news, you got a pretty epic game in the last couple of weeks.
I did, yes. And that game would be called Dinosaur Island.
It looks like it would be like a pretty cool game. It's like so overproduced and stuff. And so like when I saw that, how overproduced it was, and how like, I don't want to say gimmicky, but like how like they're trying to appeal to a certain crowd with the art, trying to be like, almost 80s looking with that color scheme and stuff. I thought, wow, they're really trying to like dress up a pig here, and like they don't have much of a game to it. And then I don't think it was you, someone else told me, or I read a review where someone said that game could be all shades of brown and have no theme on it at all, and it would still be mechanically a really sound game.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, that's it looks like my kind of game now that I'm looking into it a little more. Of course, now I'm in that spot too of that's where the Kickstarters like get you. This is when they're worth doing. This is when you can't get a copy for yourself for like 6 months now because they're out of print. But
right.
I think my local shop's getting one in March or something, he said, but it looks really good.
Yeah, literally the day I got this game, I texted a buddy. I was like, dude, you need to come over and play this game with me. And he came over, I think, at 9 o'clock, and we played through the game till about 10:30. It was so good. And honestly, the game's not even that difficult. Like, seriously, I think they packaged a medium weight game into a heavy package, if that makes sense. Like, the mechanics are really simple and smooth. Everything's super streamlined. But the way they go about it makes it seem like almost Vital Lacerda heavy. And it's not nearly that heavy at all.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot there. But I think you compared it when you were talking to me to Grand Austria Hotel. Like Grand Austria looks like this like behemoth of a game, but then when you start playing it, you're like, oh, that's just pretty smooth, like set collection kind of thing. And I obviously haven't played Dinosaur Island, but like based on the gameplay I've seen, it looks like it almost to me feels like I love viticulture because viticulture has this thing of like you need to do A in order to do B, then to do C so that you can do D, E, and F and get points. Like there's a whole chain that you have to place your guys through and like figure out what the path is for doing those steps in the right way. And, like it seems like Dinosaur Island's kind of the same thing almost, that you have to, start and then work your way through these things to get to your final product, to get your dinosaurs and stuff. So I don't know. I could be totally misinterpreting what I've seen in the game, but that's kind of how it feels to me based on just videos. Do you feel that way at all, or what do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because if you really screw up in phase 1, when it comes down to phase 3, when you have to make your dinosaurs by mixing the DNA and stuff, if you don't get enough DNA during phase 1, you're completely done. You're going to have to sit phase 3 and phase 4 out, and you're going to lose. You could lose the game because you're not producing dinosaurs in that 4th phase. And, that's just poor planning. That's what makes it tough.
Yeah.
Is you screw up a little bit in one section, and it's going to jack up your whole round.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like with viticulture, like you see someone who's going up to that 25-point mark if you're playing Tuscany, and they're going to sell wine next round, and like you just don't have the wine created in time to age it enough to sell it and stuff like that. So, I mean, that future planning thing, I think it's kind of cool in a worker placement game. So I don't know. I think Dinosaur Island looks really good. I definitely look forward to playing your copy for sure. But it's one that's going to be on my radar for sure.
Yeah, my only issue with it is the ending just happens. It just shows up.
Really?
Yeah, like you're all in this game, and all of a sudden somebody completes the objective and the game's over. It's like, oh, well, I wasn't even ready to be done yet, but... So it just sneaks up on you, and it's kind of anticlimactic, I guess.
My highlight of playing since the last podcast is a game that I'm actually going to talk about later. So I'm not going to say anything about it, but I know people like to play little games and have trivia and stuff that they do. So I will say this about it. It's our theme tonight. Our main feature is based on games named after people or real places. Okay. And this game just recently got like a small redistribution or small printing that sold out real quick immediately again. So it's a little out of print right now. But it's named after a real place, and it's from 2015, and it's a pretty heavy game. Not super heavy, but I would say solidly in the medium heavy weight. So people might have some guesses on what that game is, but you'll find out if you listen for another 15 minutes or 10 minutes. But anyway, that game, I really want to talk about it right now, but I'm going to wait until later in the show to talk about it because it's on my list of games that I want to talk about.
The thing is, you didn't even put that game as the first game that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to make people wait till like the third thing I talk about. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Another game I played is Terra Mystica. I'm a little late to the party on that one, but I got it late. Sorry.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, like, that there's no shame in that. Like, that's what the board game mechanic life is all about, man. Like, you're not a professional reviewer. You're not well, not yet, at least. We're hoping, right? But but we buy games when we know they're good. We buy things that we want to keep, and Terra Mystica is one that was out of print for a long time. Was well over $100 to buy most places, and so now it's just getting back to the spot where you can find copies and get it again. So it's a solid game. It's a really solid game. I really like it.
Yeah, the only reason I was actually intrigued by it because I played Clans of Caledonia, and it takes a lot of the Terra Mystica like mechanics, and I thought it was a little lighter, and I wanted some meatier, so I was like, I need to pick this game up. And then I played it with a buddy last weekend, and man, it was so good, so good.
Yeah,
everything about that game is there's decision after decision, and you screw up one time in a round, you're done. I love it.
Right, it's tight. I like it's a lot of other games do it too, but if I'm remembering right, it's been, I don't know, probably 4 years since I played that game. If I'm remembering right, your player boards have these little chits that go over some symbols, and then as you do things with those chits, like it uncovers more symbols on your boards, or like gives you more like capacity to do things. If I'm remembering right, like
right, yeah. When you build buildings, you gain money and stuff like that. Yeah,
right, and like that's kind of a cool thing. The only thing I didn't like about this game, and this is what sticks out in my head, and it's stupid. It's totally stupid. It's like a completely stupid hang up for me to have. Like I play these like games with like pentagrams in them and like D&D and stuff. And like, I don't know, like, so for me to get hung up on something that I feel like just kind of is scuzzy, like that little sideboard where you like have to like offer like worship to these like deities and stuff, like felt weird to me. But then also it not only felt weird to me, it felt like it was like, it didn't mesh with the game. It was like...
Yeah, it was tacked on a little bit, yeah.
Right. Like, it was like, hey, if you aren't doing super great in the main part of the game, like, this is maybe a way for you to stay competitive if you can dump points into this. But, I mean, like, and it's like, it's not even that I, like, really had a moral hang up on it or anything too much, but it just... was just a weird thing just to have on the side. I don't know.
It doesn't bother me because I don't care about the theme. I just got up the red, white, blue, and brown track. So, I mean, It worked for me. I was just moving my little guy up the red, white, blue, and brown track.
You see, and I don't have a hang up about space games like you do, so that's why I potentially will get Gaia Project, but I don't know. That's one that I'm gonna wait until I can see it on a daily deal on Cool Stuff in a year or two or something.
Right.
Or I mean, if the Gaia Project people are part of the Riveted and they want to send me a copy, I will definitely just Joel@bgmechanics.com. Just send me an email. I'll give you my address. No problem. You can just send me a copy. Or if there's a super wealthy like Riveted fan who just wants to hear what I think of the game, again, Joel@bgmechanics.com.
This episode has so much pandering, it's ridiculous.
Hey, speaking of pandering, this is the announcement that I want to make, okay? I'm going to go ahead and just do it right now. Today starts my new campaign, okay? Today is day 1 of my campaign, and I'm going to keep this going until this happens, okay? So this is where I need the Riveted to, get into action here. I know I said I wasn't going to be that, needy public broadcasting guy saying give us $1 every week or whatever. It has nothing to do with money. But I am starting an active campaign for 2 things. Number 1 is I want to get on This Game is Broken. I want Jason and I to be guests on there. I want us to be on a team against the Brothers Murph and just stomp them.
That show is amazing. I love it. Yeah.
That's my active campaign I'm starting. This is day 1 of the campaign to get us on This Game is Broken. So if you're listening, This Game is Broken, bring it. We'll take you. Right? So that's the first thing. The second one is I want to be a guest on the Dice Steeple. I just love Sam Healy, and I have a lot in common with the Dice Steeple in my personal life and stuff. But anyway, that's the second thing I want to get. So day 1 of my campaign to get on either one of those shows. And then the other thing too is whichever show gets me on first will get my undying allegiance for the rest of my life. So it's a race / campaign to get on those shows. So anyway. Terra Mystica. Back to what we played.
Yeah, so I played Terra Mystica, and it did not disappoint. So I'll let you go ahead and move on to your game.
Super solid game. I mean, absolutely super solid game. And that's one that if I ever ran across a copy where I could get local pickup and not have to pay $30 shipping for a used game or something, I would absolutely, if I found a copy for under $40, I would be just all over it.
I actually got it for $35 all in.
You're kidding.
No, $35 shipped. It was amazing. Some dude on BGG.
You need to haggle with guys on BGG for me then, and then I'll just pay them. That is amazing that you were able to do that. That is a steal.
Yeah.
That is an absolute steal.
Impressed.
That's crazy. That guy's a sucker, man. Poor guy. Just the recycling cardboard value of that game's more than $35. It's heavy.
It was, yeah. It was heavy, yes.
All right. Well, the game that I played with a bunch of guys. We had 7 guys at a board gaming thing this last weekend, and so with 7 guys, especially when most of them are just gateway players, it gives you this weird thing of you can't really, if you're going to try and start 2 groups and they're all your games, you have to teach 2 tables how to play a game. And so while the one table's waiting, they're kind of disengaged and then it's they're going to have questions. So you're going back and forth between the 2 tables. And so sometimes I've done it where I don't even play either game. I just kind of enjoy that other people are playing games and just kind of keep them going. But I didn't really want to do this time. So I was all right, what do we have that plays 7 players? And I'm going to go ahead and talk about 2 games because they're both filler games. So I'm going to put 2 filler games in here as my fill on what I played. But the first one was Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, which I got it for Christmas based on just the fact that a lot of people really love that game. And I hate to say it, but it kind of got a M plus. It was okay. It was perfectly fine. But I thought it was going to be more social deduction-y and not so much Codenames meets...
Yeah, you're kind of arguing,
Dixit,
yeah.
You know? I mean, so, I don't know. And it was just, the other thing too is it's kind of a random fest too. So sometimes, I don't know, sometimes the cards that flip up, those cardboard cards that flip up that you put the bullets on come up and they're perfect. So it's
right.
Oh man, it's clearly this guy did it with the rope and he had the Ethernet cable as his key evidence. Cause the cards are just perfect. But then sometimes it's you get a card that's what was the weather outside? And the thing has nothing to do with the weather at all. Yeah. You're I don't know, umbrella? Is that why you picked rainy? Is there an umbrella out here? No. Why did he pick rainy? It just doesn't make any sense. So
yeah.
that's kind of a hang up I had with it. And then I don't know, it it wasn't bad. It certainly wasn't bad. But the game we played right after that was Secret Hitler, which did not disappoint. I love that game. That game has absolutely 100% fired Avalon for me. Like, I don't think I want to play Avalon ever again. Like, the Resistance Avalon, I won't play it. Like, it doesn't do that whole kind of game as well as Secret Hitler does. The only thing that I mean, this is totally stupid, but I do have like some like bordering on like sensitive people in my circles of like life that might be hung up on the Hitler thing. And the other thing too is like I couldn't play this game at school because of the, hey, you're Hitler and you're trying to get elected thing. Right. But that said, they don't have copies of this in their store right now. Like it's sold out for like the moment. And so they have the print and play stuff that they're like, hey, if you want to make a print and play of this game, that's absolutely totally fine. We encourage that. We want people to play our game. And then they even say Creative Commons licensing on it. So if you want to retheme it or recolor it or do different graphic design or whatever, that's absolutely fine. Just don't make money off it and give us credit. Well, so I looked for print and play versions and I found a version called Secret Palpatine, which I think is kind of awesome. So I think I'm going to print that one off and see if I can use that with my kids at school or something.
There's a Secret Voldemort as well.
Oh, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, if you're into Harry Potter. A funny story about this game. One day, my wife and I went over to a gaming night with some people from our church, and there were 10 of us. We were playing this game. A bunch of church people. I busted out Secret Hitler.
Oh, that's like a max group there.
Yeah, it was awesome. The very first round, I called Katie a lying piece of trash, and it got all the church people like it like blew their mind that I would call my wife a lying piece of trash in a game. But
oh, they need to learn.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's lucky that's all you called her, honestly. I mean,
yeah, that's like my best gaming memory ever. I think it was awesome.
That's pretty amazing. Like the other one too was the first round we played. I was Hitler, and like. I think it was just this thing of me explaining the game. I had super high credibility. So no one even remotely thought that I was Hitler. Like, cause I was just accusing other people of it and just doing what you do to not be found. And, right. So then at the end, like everyone flipped their cards except for me and they were like, what the heck? We didn't have a Hitler? Like, did we not shuffle the cards and deal the cards right? And then I flipped my card over and everyone was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like that was an awesome first round to play. And then like, the second round, it just, like, I guess this is where luck can kind of get you on this game too. Like, the perfect group of people were the fascists and Hitler. So like the other fascist was my buddy Jed, who you know, and like he and I are like a really good team. And then my brother Matt was Hitler. And so my brother Matt, like even figured out pretty early on that we were the fascists with him. But like, it just, the way how the policies came up. So like the first president was to the right of Jed. And then like, and I was sitting right next to Jed. So like we were number 2 and 3 president. And we both passed like liberal agendas because we thought, you know what? Like if we pass liberal agendas early on, like it'll make us seem like we're liberal and they won't suspect us as being fascists. But then also like, I don't know, we thought, you know, it'll pull some of those liberal cards out of there and there'll definitely be some 3 fascist card things pop up later. So we can say, no, they passed a fascist thing. It's clearly them. Well, like what happened was the liberal things just keep popping out. And like, we didn't pass a single fascist thing, and it never made it back around the table to us again to even pass anything fascist. So
that's weird too, because there's way more fascist than liberal policies in there.
It's like 11-5 or 11-6 or something.
Yeah,
so
that's
just the odds were stacked against us the whole time. I mean, like I thought for sure, and I know it's a pretty crazy draw to think that someone's going to get 3 fascist cards when they draw, but like it happened in the game before that. So I mean, like. And I know it certainly happens where like you don't have a choice but to give someone fascist cards. So I was banking on that when I passed those liberals, and then it never happened. So if I had it to do again the second time, I would have passed a fascist and be like, yeah, he handed me all fascist cards. I don't know what you want me to do, but that's what I got. And hope that people bought that, you know? So anyway, whatever. I could keep talking about this game, and I think you could too, because it's a really great game. But even better is your next game that you want to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I don't even like party games. The Secret Hitler is amazing. But, the next game I'm going to talk about after those 2 medium and heavy games, I'm going to talk about this little game called The Hare and the Tortoise. I don't know if you ever played it.
By Yellow, right? The little book series?
Yeah, it's by Yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my buddy Brandon...
like children, right?
Yeah. My buddy Brandon came over, and him and his daughter have been playing, I guess, the mess out of this game. So he brought it over because she wanted to play it. So we sat down, played it. I played 2 games of this thing back to back, and I had a ton of fun with it. It's just a stupid little racing game where you're playing some cards, but it was fun. What can I say?
I've heard it's the best game in that book series. Like this one and Three Little Pigs is okay, but I've heard Tortoise and Hare is like by far the best one. And I know I've been at board game days with like 30 other gamers, and there's been like a table of people playing this game with like people looking over their shoulder watching them play and like cheering and stuff. So I mean, it sounds so stupid to me. I'm sorry. It just sounds ridiculously stupid. But I know that there are people who love this game and get way into it. And like, I am shocked that you're like, yeah, this game wasn't bad. Like, cause your taste in games is so far from that one. So
believe me, I'm shocked too. Like they were like, hey, we're going to play this game. I was like, oh man. But then I played it. I was like, hey, that was actually kind of fun. You're trying to get the stupid wolf. Like, come on, wolf, run. And then the stupid lamb or sheep shows up and it has to stop at a stupid little river. And then, yeah, it's I don't know. It was a good time.
It looks like glorified Candyland or something when you look at the back of the box and stuff. Like, I don't know. It just looks so like, I don't know, light. Like, I mean, is it draw a card move or what is it?
You have a hand, I think, of 5 cards. And on your turn, you can play as many cards as you want. But once 4 of a certain animal have been played or 8 total cards, all the animals move. So you're trying to decide, you know, based on how many, there's like a little player card that tells you how far each animal moves based on how many cards are played. So, and you have two animals that you're trying to get to win. It can be the same animal twice, or it can be 2 different animals. So based on who you have and how far people can move, you're trying to play cards and mess other people up from getting to play the cards they want. So, I mean, it's actually a little strategic, I guess, for a super light game. But hey, I enjoyed it. I don't even feel bad about it.
I mean, that's one too that sometimes you'll see it at like, it looks like a book. So I've seen it in bookstores that don't even sell board games. And I don't know if they confused it for a book, so they bought it or what, but I've seen it on pretty awesome clearance. Like, I mean, like less than $10 almost at different places. And I just have never pulled the trigger on it. If I knew that it was going to get your endorsement, I would have, but.
Oh, no, like seriously, it's fun. I'd play it right now. Again, that's how fun it was. I would play it right now.
You've got younger kids too. How far off are they from being able to play this kind of game?
I mean, I'd probably wait till they're maybe 8 or 9. You don't have to read or anything, but just figuring out some of the strategy of it can be a little for older kids, I think.
Yeah. You should, I don't know if you've ever looked through all the DSG reviews I did with Luke when he was like 9, but some of the games I had him playing when he was 9 are like absurd. Like if I had to do over, I mean, like, I'm like, oh, no wonder this kid's burnt out on board games. Like I had the guy playing like Twilight Struggle when he was 9. I don't know. Like, so.
Yeah, that might be a little too early for that game.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's like, Dad, the Blue Jeans philosophy just doesn't work. I'm gonna stop you every time with this, you know, trade embargo that I can drop on you. I mean, like, that's obviously not true, but like, it was pretty heavy games I tried to get to play with him. And like, it's real fun. Like when he was 9, we did these reviews, like I said, and every time he reviewed a game, I'd say, so what does it get out of 10? He'd go, 7.5. Like it was, every game was a 7.5.
I give Tortoise and the Hare a 7.5.
That sounds good. So my last game I was going to talk about is a game that I've talked about on here before, but we played it with correct rules, and that's Dogs of War. I'm just going to say this: we played it with the right rules, and it was better. Because now I'm going to go with I'm going to go with an audible on this because I want to talk about this game a little bit. We talked about the social deduction games. I was like, I don't need to talk about this one too because I'm talking about 2 of those little fun party-ish social deduction games. The other one I want to talk about is this game that I got on accident, and this is like I love talking about games like this that nobody talks about and no one knows about. So that's why I'm wanting to talk about it. And this is going to be news to Jason too. He loves it when I do this, when I go for the audible here. What is it? The Omaha. So anyway, we're going with the audible here. The game I played was Leaders of Euphoria, which I got it because I thought it was an expansion for Euphoria. Like I just was so like full of like excitement when I saw it on clearance for $9. I was like, oh man, is that an expansion for Euphoria? Which is a game that I will definitely talk about on this podcast at some point. But I just immediately was like rage buy it, get it before they sell out, and got it. And then I got it, and like I'm looking at the front of it, and I open it up, and I'm like, wait a minute, how do I integrate these like cardboard laser guns and like roll cards into Euphoria? And then I look at the front, and I'm like, Oh, this is a standalone game in the Euphoria universe. So I don't know. Have you ever played Good Cop, Bad Cop before, Jason, or is that new to you too?
No, I haven't played it just because I don't like to play those kinds of games. So really, no, I've played like 3 games like that: The Resistance, Secret Hitler, and Deception, and that's it.
So they don't like really appeal to you too much in general. That's why it wouldn't, make it to your table. Well, this one's, I think it's as good as any of those other ones that you mentioned. You have these. It's Good Cop, Bad Cop, but they rethemed it as Euphoria. And if you like Good Cop, Bad Cop, I think this game's actually a fuzz better than Good Cop, Bad Cop. So if you're listening and you're like Good Cop, Bad Cop, good game, leaders of Euphoria, I'm going to go ahead and give you my secret. It was on thinkgeek.com for $9. So hopefully they still have a copy or two out there for you. But at any rate, the whole game is like on your turn, you're able to do any number of actions. And you have a hand of cards as well. So you can play down cards from your hand, but you have 3 roll cards in front of you, which is kind of clever. And then you can grab a like laser gun and point it at someone on your turn, but you can't fire it till the next round. So like you have to almost give them like a, I'm calling my shot kind of thing. Like, hey, I'm going to try and take you out. And then like they have a whole round to like their teammates who are trying to protect them can try and take you out or whatever. So it's like you're calling your shot almost, before you do it. So, and then when you zap somebody, you have to flip all 3 of their cards. Well, the other kind of clever thing too is you have 3 cards, and out of the 3 cards, whatever you have the majority of is what faction you're in. So like there's the Euphorians, and there's the Wastelanders, and there's the I don't remember the other factions. Yeah, Subterrans. There you go. Is the other faction, and so you start off as either a Subterran or a Euphorian, and whatever you have the majority of cards of is what you are. So like you might have a card flip over that's Euphorian, but your other 2 cards are Subterran. So you're really a Subterran, but people might assume that or make a good logical guess that you're a Euphorian then. And so like that might be a way that you can play that. And then the other thing that can happen too is if you get the leader card, so there's like a bunch of follower cards and then a very few leader cards in there. So if you get like the Euphorian leader card, you can have 2 Subterran cards, but you're still Euphorian because you have the leader. So the being the leader thing trumps getting a majority of cards even. So the fact that like there's partial information that comes out is kind of cool. But then when you zap somebody, all 3 of their cards flip over. Well, then to throw on top of that, you have these cards that is really where the game's at. These actions happen in these cards. So like they have really funny names too. Like there's a baseball bat in there and it's called like, it's like, the whole thing of Euphoria is you're playing as like almost like a cult leader or like someone who's like trying to like brainwash people into making like a civilization that you're the head of. And so like, the things just have really funny names in the board game, and they also have funny names in this game too. So like there's a baseball bat in the deck, and it's called like the Rod of Encouragement or something like that. And like
that's awesome.
You use the Rod of Encouragement though to steal someone else's like a ray gun. So someone's like, yeah, I'm gonna blast you, and you go, but you're not, because here's my Rod of Encouragement, so I'm taking the gun from you and pointing it back at you. So I mean, like it's just that kind of game. Just kind of a blast each other and whatever kind of game. And it's one that I don't think it's better than Secret Hitler. I don't think it's better than Secret Hitler at all, but it's certainly very good. And if you're tired of Secret Hitler and you're looking for another game, kind of in the same vein, it's really cheap right now. And I think it's a bit better than Good Cop, Bad Cop, because the difference is in Good Cop, Bad Cop, if you're on the bad cop team and you get, blasted for being a bad cop, then you're just out of the game. You're eliminated, which is the worst thing ever to have happen in a game. Like player elimination is just a terrible, terrible like rule set or mechanic or whatever you want to say. Whereas in Euphoria, you get taken out of the game, you flip your card over, and now you're a Wastelander. So you're in the 3rd faction. So the 3rd faction is just basically like people who are just mad at the world and they're just trying to kill anybody. So like if you kill either of the leaders, you win as a Wastelander. So it's just kind of cool how that all like works out together. So my 3rd game I wanted to talk about was Euphoria. Took the Audible there. Dogs of War is awesome. I'll talk about it any other time. If you want to email me, Joel at Boardgame Mechanics or bgmechanics.com, I will send you a nice 5-paragraph, well-formatted essay about Dogs of War and why it's amazing. But for today, I wanted to talk about Euphoria. So, not just Euphoria, leaders of Euphoria.
Right, sounds cool. For a minute there, it sounded like it was like cashing guns with the pointing guns at people. Yeah,
I mean, it has a little feel of that. In that you're like pointing guns at people. But it's more like, it's certainly Good Cop, Bad Cop, but it's the whole like I'm blaming people and trying to kill other people off feels a little more like the coup than Cash and Guns even. But
yeah, I can see that, yeah.
but at any rate, it's a fun game, real fun game, and the components on it are great. It's not a Stonemaier game, so the components aren't that great because Stonemaier games amazing components, but this has really good components right up there with Stonemaier games level components. The box is really nice, cards are nice, so if you can get it at a $9 bargain, go for it.
I just don't understand why they set it in that universe. That's confusing. That confuses people.
Right. There's a few games like that are like, oh, that's clearly an expansion, and then it's not. Like battleships or battlecruisers, eminent domain battlecruisers, by our buddy, Philip DB. Like that game like is a standalone, and I thought for sure it's like the same size box and like the same looking box as all the expansions are. So I was like, oh, another expansion to buy. But then I found out, hey, it's a standalone game. So that's another example.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't get it, but it's not for me to understand, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it for what we played then. So moving on. Tonight we are talking, in fact, about games named after places that are real, places that exist, named after people. So things rooted in real life. Be it a person or a place. Next time we'll do things. So we'll hit all the noun categories for our games next time. So, but this is people's in place.
That's like every game.
Yeah, trains. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we'll do that one actually. But I'm going to go ahead and start, Jason.
All right, go for it.
And I'll tell you why I'm going to go ahead and start. Because I'm first on our list for the show notes. So
sounds good. I like it.
My first game is one that I was trying to figure out, games for this one. And I was like, oh, man, what out there is there that I really like? And I was thinking of some games that you've talked about in the last few weeks, things that are actually on your list. And I'm like, oh, man, I kind of want to talk about that one, but I should save that one for Jason or whatever. And then I actually started looking through the Board Game Geek Top 100. And I was like, oh, duh, I love that game. And that's San Juan. So that's the first one on my list. It's a really good game. If you've not played it, it's the card game of Puerto Rico. And I personally think it holds up better. I think in 2017, San Juan's a better game than Puerto Rico. I know it's crazy to say that, but if I'm going to play something that takes as much time and head power as Puerto Rico, there's other games I'd rather play. Whereas San Juan's just a much lighter game. You can play a game of it in 30 to 45 minutes. But it's basically the first game, as far as I know, that use that whole mechanic of your cards are also the currency that you use. So you earn cards by harvesting stuff that go in your hand, but then also to build stuff, you have to pay cards out of your hand. So the double use of the cards as both your money and as your actions and things you can do in the game is just kind of a cool mechanic, I think. And honestly, Race for the Galaxy is a game that I really love, and it's a direct rip-off of this game. Honestly, it's like a space retheming with some extra little things put into it. And it made the game even better, I think. But San Juan was the original. And, just a 20-second how the game works kind of thing is you take a roll, and then it has a leader roll. If you pick the chit out of the middle of the piece of cardboard, then you get an additional benefit. So if it's drawing cards, you draw 2 cards and everyone else draws 1 card as the follower. And then once those rolls are taken, no one else can take that roll that round. Then they all go back in the middle and everyone picks a roll again, which is just exactly like Puerto Rico. But then your cards are so valuable to you because they are what you pay. Like I said, you pay for all your structures and stuff that you buy with the cards, but then also you need those cards to get more structures and stuff for the face side of the cards. So you end up growing a bunch of different plantations and stuff that, tobacco farms and coffee plantations and stuff like that, that basically have that thing of, hey, I'm going to plant stuff in this field and then harvest it later. And it gives you back, when the markets come around, you get, somewhere between 2 to 5 cards out of that action that you just did. And so, it's a good way to get a ton of cards. And then also there's different buildings and things you can get for your village that help you with, when you take this roll, do this extra thing or that kind of thing. And it's just a really clean game, really sleek game that I just really enjoy, with that roll selection and just the card play.
Yeah, I haven't played this or Puerto Rico, which I know is a cardinal sin, but
oh no,
I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I even want to play it, honestly. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, I endorse playing it, and it's one that I own, but I wouldn't suggest, like, if you're somebody who knows me, I wouldn't suggest someone else to buy it, to have their own copy. Like, my copy, having it around to play it is perfectly adequate. So, but I definitely think it's better than Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I've heard it's better, and I've heard some bad stuff about Puerto Rico, so yeah, I don't need to play that one either.
The problem with Puerto Rico is if you were going to sit down and try and play Puerto Rico right now with someone who's serious enough about gaming to actually play Puerto Rico, like there's a good chance that person has been in gaming for 5 years or something, 5+ years, and they've played Puerto Rico 25, 30 times. And so when you've played Puerto Rico that many times, you know, like the tempo of the game and what role you're supposed to pick to like maximize what other people are going to do. And like, if you play with that experienced group, sometimes you'll take the wrong role in the wrong order, and those people will get really mad at you because you like did a suboptimal move, and then it messes them up. So like, or like they'll just demolish you because you don't know exactly what you're doing. So it's like playing tennis with somebody who's like played college level tennis, and you're just a fat guy who, you know, owns a tennis racket. So, I mean, like, it's Puerto Rico's really hard to get a game in with and have any fun with it hardly anymore. Whereas San Juan's not that way at all. You can pick up San Juan and be competitive with it in a game or less than a game of playing San Juan.
That's cool. Yeah.
I'm really interested about your game that you're going to talk about because I just picked this one up last weekend. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. And I bought it largely on your endorsement of it. So, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Shakespeare, which is based on William Shakespeare, who is a real guy.
Oh.
So that's why I picked this game, because it's named after a real man.
Why did you put an emphasis on that he is a real person? Because the conspiracy theories that he's not out there?
Yeah, there's some other guy that supposedly wrote his plays. I don't know. My wife would know more about it. I
heard it was like a collective of guys or something almost at one time or something too. I don't know.
Yeah. But either way, it made this list. Essentially,
there's also a face on Mars, and we never landed on the moon. But I mean, just you can go on if you want to.
Yeah, true. Essentially, what this is a worker placement game, and you're bidding with your workers for turn order. So at the beginning of the round, you're going to either do 1 to 5 workers that you're going to bid with, and the lowest number is first player. And you have 4 people on this board that you can choose from to take different actions to move up some tracks, which I love tracks. You can recruit new actors to come to your play. You can buy some costumes for the actors. You can buy some set pieces for your set so you can score points. And on the 3rd round and the 5th round or 6th round, however many rounds there are, I think there's 5 or 6. On the 3rd round and the last round, there's a dress rehearsal. And then you're going to get points if you have your actors fully costumed. You're going to get points for where you are on your set pieces. And it's a standard worker placement game, but it's got some cool different ideas in it that I really like.
Yeah, I think that mechanic you talked about a little bit where you like secretly put a number of your workers in your hand and then you kind of like simultaneously reveal how many workers you have. Like that auction mechanic, I've never seen anywhere else, and that looks kind of cool. And then help me understand this, because I don't know completely how to play yet. But like, are your workers locked into a space for a certain amount of time that you can't use them multiple rounds or something? Because someone was saying it's hard to balance knowing whether you should take just a couple workers and save your workers for later when you might need them more. Or like, I'm trying to figure out how that might play into the game, or if that's just, I'm not understanding there.
No, so say I bid 1 worker out of my 5. For that whole entire round, I have 1 worker that I get to do something with. I'm going to go first, but I only have 1 worker that I get to do anything with.
Right. So you would do that if you were like, I absolutely have to get to this spot, and if I don't get there, it's going to mess my whole game up. It's worth sacrificing 4 action placements or whatever for that one spot.
Right. And if there's a tie, like say 3 people bid 3, and that's the lowest. If there's a tie, whoever was the first person to activate an actor the previous round gets initiative, and they will break a tie. So even though people bid the same things, there's still other ways to break the tie. And I also have the expansion to this, which is called Backstage, where you can use the workers that you don't bid with. Like, so let's say I had the 2 extra if I bid 3. I could then use those workers to put on one of the backstage people to get a bonus action. So you get to use all your workers when you have the expansion.
So it's like consolation prize, almost like Doc Bad Luck and Dice Town or something like that. Like it sounds like.
The stuff is way better than that, though.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like not as good as the main board. You'd still want to try and get out there if you could, but you're still going to get something if you don't use your workers. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
it's fun. It's one of Katie's favorite games. So I think mostly she likes the theme about it. So that helps, I think.
What's the weight you'd put this one at? Is this like a medium heavy?
Um, it's probably medium. It's one of those games like Dinosaur Island. It seems heavier than it is because really you're just
Yeah.
going to a place and doing what it says. But the way you can do that is it almost seems convoluted, and I don't want to say that because it's not. But it's laid out in a fashion that you had. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it seems heavier than it is. It's probably midweight.
So would you like the gateway game that everyone talks about for getting people into worker placement is Lords of Waterdeep. Like if you had someone play Lords of Waterdeep, they were familiar with like worker placement on that level, or let's say Stone Age, another kind of like entry level worker placement game. Would this be like a next game you'd play with them, or would this be something you'd play still further on down the road because it's kind of a little more complicated?
I actually think it. You could probably play it with someone who's never played worker placement. It's that
Huh?
easy, but it would take a little more explaining on what you're doing.
Huh?
So
The-
it's midweight, but I think depending on the group, I think people who've never played worker placement could do it.
People who have played like a more complicated game could, but it doesn't necessarily matter if you know how worker placement actions
Right.
would work. Huh. And I wondered about that because the art on this game is really accessible. So like a lot of times when you look at like a worker placement game that's like a heavier Euro game, there's just like, this one has its fair number of symbols on the board and things, but it's just like symbols everywhere to like say this exchange happens here. And then like it has like little like fancy little augmentation around all the pieces and stuff to like really make the board look like super ornate. Like this one's not plain by any means, but it's almost like the art is just a much more accessible, like family weight looking game almost.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah, it's really
interesting.
nice to look at. Yeah.
It's I'm excited to get it out and play it. I don't know if this is just my copy or if every copy's like this, but the plastic on my insert for my game was like so thin it actually had holes in it. So like I don't know. I'll have to do with that what I do with all my inserts practically is just throw it away. But I mean like yeah, that was a little disappointing. But other than that, the
Mine
components were
wasn't
really
like that,
nice.
so it must have been yours.
Huh. Bad luck. Bad luck, Joel.
Yep.
Well, speaking of entry level worker placement games, my second game I want to talk about is Belfort, which is a game that not a ton of people know about. I don't know, maybe they do, but it's a TMG game, which they're known for making like kind of silly wackadoo games, like a little bit more lighthearted games than like some of the other companies out there. But this is a rock solid worker placement game, and it's funny that I picked this game for like my games named after real places or like based in reality because this game is totally like a fantasy game. Like you play as like dwarfs and elves and stuff like that in Belfort, but it's a really cool game. The board is
Is
go ahead.
Belfort a real place?
Yeah, it's in France, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
So
interesting.
at any rate, Belfort is like a fantasy in this place, but anyway, the board is like this pentagonal five-sided city that has walls around it, and the board you like slide together like pizza slices kind of thing, and then you basically you're building up the city, like building parts of the city. You're playing as like a contractor in this city, and so I guess it's like named after the city that you're building, but it's neat because the different workers can do different things. So you are able to get like dwarf workers who are able to collect more of a certain resource versus elves, which can get more of a different resource, which is kind of a cool mechanic. And then the other thing too that randomizes in this game that kind of keeps it fresh is there are these guilds, and these guilds are really powerful, but they get randomized every game. So each section of the board, there's 5 different guilds, and some of them are like these really nasty like player interaction things where it's like you're going to steal a card from someone or take something from somebody. Whereas a lot of them are more Like they're just really high powered, like the Stonemasons Guild. So you just get a ton of stone for going there. And then it's like any other worker placement game where like you're building stuff, like you have like these blueprints you build and like it opens up new things in the game that are exclusive to you or whatever. And you get more and more powerful as you keep playing and keep building more things. And it's just, the weight on it is just right. Like it's just like a shade heavier than like those real entry level games. And I actually gave this one to a friend of mine, because he loved it so much. And I kind of regret doing it, especially now that it's out of print and a little hard to find. So, I don't know.
I've been trying to find this one for a while, and it's tough. It is tough.
It's a good one though. I kept it in. I got rid of it in favor of the Manhattan Project, which almost I put on there because it's a real event and it's named after Manhattan. But I'll put that one on some other time when we do like historical games or something. But it's a good game. Belfort's certainly a good game. The component quality was really good too. I really like the little like miniature stone and wood and stuff in it, and it's as good a worker placement game in that like weight, that medium weight class as I've ever played. So it's my number 2 game that I wanted to talk about with games named after real places and stuff.
That's cool. My number 2 is a game that was just on my last shelf. Well, not my last one. Maybe it was my last one. It was on a shelf video, and that's Marco Polo. And I don't know, this is one of my absolute favorite games of all time. I love this game. And it even has dice in it, which is almost a no-no for a Euro guy like me. But you can manipulate the dice and
you have a paradoxical nature about you, though. You really do love your dice too. I mean, so
yeah, I don't know. Like dice. Yeah, I do.
Like Grand Austria's one that you really like, and it's got a bunch of dice in it, and Lorenzo's got a bunch of dice in it, and I don't know, man. Like you like your dice in there too, but you don't like it when the dice are like critical that you have to get a certain number. Which I think that's when I like the dice too. It's like the dice just randomize things that you can do, not if you can do or can't do things. If that makes sense.
Yeah, essentially at its core, though, Marco Polo is a worker placement game. So you're using those dice at certain locations on the board to move around the map so you can put out little trading houses, to go get resources, to complete contracts using those resources, to go get money. I mean, that's all you're doing. And the nice thing about this game, which I really like, is if you want to go to a spot, you can go to a spot even if someone's already there. You just have to pay a tax.
Yeah.
So say someone goes to the movement spot and I really need to move. I can put my dice on top of theirs, and I just have to pay a tax based on the value of my lowest die. So I can go there, it's just going to be more expensive, which I really enjoy that. It's like a friendly worker placement, which is nicer to me.
I'm totally down with that too. Like, I don't like the whole you block people when you put guys on placements. Like, I don't care for that. I way prefer that you can bump people. Like, that's a much more preferred mechanic. And I mean, it's not just because I like love Stonemaier games again and he does that in a lot of his games. It's just, I think it's a much more strategic way to do it. And like, even on this, you're not bumping, you're just making somebody else pay a little more. So like, the bump thing though is a clever mechanic to me because it's like, you give that other player a benefit. You give them a free action almost when you bump them out. And with the tax thing, does the tax just go to the bank or does the player who's there get to collect your tax?
It goes to the bank. It's just basically punishing you. It doesn't help the other person at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair way to do it too. If it's just a small amount of money extra you have to pay, I mean, just to not be the first one there. And then, so the other question I have for you too is like, so let's say we're playing like a 4-player game of this and I'm the first one there. I don't pay any tax. Then do all the players pay the same tax to go to the same spot I'm in? Or is it like the tax keep increasing?
No, if you go somewhere, it's free. Say I go there and my lowest number is a 1, I'm going to pay a 1. If someone else goes there and their lowest number is like a 3, they're going to pay a 3.
Gotcha.
So it's based on whatever dice you put there.
So it's not like you play your number plus 1, your number plus 2, or whatever.
Right. No.
It's just based on, okay, that's cool. So, yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know, that like takes some of the like, I don't know, like I've definitely played worker placement games where everybody knows that everybody has to get to this spot. And so the first player always just grabs it. So then the first thing anyone ever does is go to that like super prestigious spot. And then the second player always goes to the, I'm going to be first player next round spot. You know what I mean? Being able to have things a little more open is a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And also this game has awesome player powers where every power is just game breaking. I mean, they're nasty.
Right.
Like when you have one, you're like, man, this is awesome. Then you look at someone else, it's like, oh man, that one's better than mine. Everybody's is better than yours, and they think the same about yours. It's amazing.
Right. Like I was listening to someone talk about the game powers in this game. Like this is way on my radar. I definitely want this game. And I haven't played it even yet. So like I'm embarrassed to say that because it just looks like it's a great game. And I'm a little embarrassed I haven't played it yet. But one person was describing the player powers, and I mean like in my mind I think like they have to be like exaggerating a little bit, but it sounds like they aren't. Like one player power is you don't roll your die. You just place them on whatever numbers you want to put them on.
Yeah, it's whatever number you want. They can be all sixes if you want.
That's
amazing.
crazy. And then like another one has like everyone has like a certain amount of like routes that they can connect to, and theirs are like doubled. Like they literally have like twice the options for like where they want to like do their like ports or whatever. Like I don't know, just crazy good stuff that everybody gets. I don't know. It sounds like a really, really great game.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones is usually you can only build at a spot when you're moving around the map, the place that you stop. But there's this one guy who you can build every time you go through a place. So you can just spend time moving through like 4 cities, and every city you go through, you can just drop a building. So you've got like all your buildings out on the board, and other people have like one. It's insane.
Wow. That is insane.
It's insane. Like really, like man, that's not even right. But I've had that guy and I've still lost. So clearly, it's not an issue.
Yeah, the game's notorious for having those stupidly overpowered things that you can do, but then them being remarkably balanced, even though they're stupidly different. So yeah, pretty cool. Well, my top spot, bottom spot, however you want to look at it, is a game that I mentioned earlier that I just played over the last weekend, and I absolutely love this game. It's like, you know that thing of like where you play a game for the first time and you're like, yeah, that's my favorite game now. Like I definitely got that from this game. And that game is none other than Mombasa. That game is so good. It's just everything it does is so it's a masterpiece. Like everything's so smooth. Everything is so well integrated to each other. The only thing that's a little bit like, I don't understand what's going on with this is their bookkeeping track, but even it makes sense. Like it's like something to use your cards with and not have to use your cards up, if that makes any sense. But, I kind of feel bad putting this one on games that I love based on real locations because like the whole theme of this game is pretty rough if you really start to think about it on too much of a deep level.
It really is. Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah. I mean like even the rulebook though has a thing in it where it's like, hey, listen, this game's about British colonialism. It was definitely a historical thing that happened and this theme works well with this, but we don't say that these events that happen in Africa where basically it was getting carved out by the British are good events. We don't condone these events and wish that they happened more. But we acknowledge they did exist, and we encourage you to read The Heart of Darkness or whatever. I forget the name of the book as they say, but like to really learn more about these events and understand them. So I think that's kind of a neat way for them to be able to say, yeah, we did make a game about this thing, but at the same time, we don't want to try and glorify it. And it kind of feels like a cop-out, though. Like, I was thinking about it today, and I was like, there's a lot of historical games that cover things that are, like, rough historical events. Like, one that came to my mind right off the bat is Freedom and the Underground Railroad. Yeah, like, it's about slavery and stuff, but, like, you're playing on the right side of history on that one. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing as someone who's freeing the slaves. In Mombasa, you're playing as someone who's, like, almost not enslaving people necessarily, but you're like capitalizing on the fact that this is happening. So all that said, I can definitely play this game without thinking about the theme at all, just thinking about the mechanics, and it's totally enjoyable to me. And like, even when I was explaining the game to my friends, I was like being kind of silly about it, like saying like, we're going on a huge camping trip, and that's why we're putting these tents up all over Africa. And we're going to need lots of bananas, so that's why we're storing these bananas in our tents. And that's why we're getting all this coffee, because we need good fresh coffee in the morning to wake up in the morning. And the funniest part about it is like, you don't even think twice about it. And I'm sure that there are bananas in Africa, but I'm pretty sure bananas are primarily from South America. But like, whatever. I don't know. Like, it's definitely one of the commodities in this game, but it's such a slick game. If you don't know anything about it, you're basically playing, it's a stock game, and I love stock games. So you're trying to increase the value of stocks, of these 4 companies that are doing investments in Mombasa or in Africa. and you're advancing a diamond track. And as you advance the diamond track, you know, open up more spots to place commodities in this, like almost like market or where you like play down actions. And then you're also doing bookkeeping, which is kind of a weird mechanic. So you buy these books, and then as you inventory things but don't use them, you advance this bookkeeping track. That's probably the strangest part of it. But then like you're doing area control almost, where you keep trying to expand and explore into more regions of Africa and put more, you know, networks in Africa. And as you're doing all this, you're opening more player powers and abilities as you get a better interest in owning more of these stocks and these companies. And it's just the way how it plays is just so great. And it's the same guy who made Great Western Trail. And those games are both really awesome games that, I mean, like, I'm just eager to play them both right now, like a ton, but they're very different games. So like when a guy has two games come out at the same time, like, or like has a couple games that are really highly renowned for being like a heavier game or whatever, like both Great Western and Mombasa are, like, there's usually a ton of, like, you know, Uwe Rosenberg and Stefan Feld, like those guys, they have a feel to their game. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to feed people because it's a Rosenberg game. Or it's like, I'm going to have a billion ways to get points because it's a Feld. Like, these two games have like no overlap at all in what they're like. So the guy is just clearly a genius. I'm a real big fan of his games. I think his name's like Alexander Feaster or something like that. I don't know if I'm saying that exactly right, but Mombasa is my top game. I absolutely love this game.
Yeah, I need to play this. We'll have to play this sometime soon.
Yeah, it's just so good mechanically. And like, I think like we're going on a camping trip retheme in my mind works pretty well. Like, and like the tracks are who's having the most fun, who has the most tents out to have the most fun, you know? I mean, like, so.
Yeah, again, you get hung up on that theme thing. I would just say, hey, this is the blue track. We're going on the blue
right,
track.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, bring us home here with your top location or place game or person game.
All right, well, I had a different one, but I changed it because we talked about it, and I kind of felt bad for leaving this one off. So I'm actually going to talk about Lorenzo Il Magnifico, which I think is based on Lorenzo Medici. I think that's his name. Real dude.
You can't have a game be your favorite game of all time and not make a list when it qualifies.
Well,
so I think it's up there, though, right? It's like top 5.
It's top 3, I think, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to put it on your list.
Yeah, it functions similar to Marco Polo, where you have to, if you want to go someplace that someone's already gone and these like towers to collect cards, you have to pay a tax. So the first person that goes there can do it for free. If you want to go in that tower after me, you got to pay $3 or whatever the money is. And basically, instead of placing dice, you have these little cylinder worker guys that have the power of the color of the die that's rolled. And you also have this really idiot like worker who's a 0, and he can't do anything without help of like an assistant from the family. So if you want to go to any spot, you have to take your stupid guy with like a chaperone so he can do what he needs to do to make sure that he does it correctly. It's a good game. Sometimes it can go on a little long, so
I liked it. We played it a few weeks back. You and I did with our little group that we had, and I really liked it. And like, it's another one of those games that when you look at the board, you're like, whoa, this is going to take me like an honorary degree from like Board Game University to know how to play this game. But then once you get going on it, it's not anywhere near as heavy as you thought it might be. There's plenty there to think about. There's plenty there to like figure out, but it's certainly doable. And it's a really fun game once you figure out some of the symbols and stuff in it.
Right. Yeah. I would. Again, this is another one of those games that looks like it's super heavy, but really, you're just going to a spot and doing what it says. So, pretty straightforward, really.
Yeah. I got killed in this game. Because I didn't quite, I think I figured it out, but like I didn't figure out the importance of stuff. So like a big part of the game is that you're trying to like make this like optimized, like almost like a factory or something where you like run this machinery and like you get a bunch of benefits depending on the die that you put in there. And like the better die, the more things you potentially can get out of like this one action area. And I never was really able to get that to fire for me or do what I needed it to. One, because other people thought it was like more of an important thing than I did, so they were going to that spot first. This is one of those games where you do block each other out when you go to a placement. But then there's like the secondary placement too, but you have to pay so much money or so much extra like boosting power to try and like get your machines to run right and stuff. But I would definitely play this game again, and I would definitely do better the second time because of just understanding a few things better.
Yeah, and yeah, I've played this game at all player counts, and it's amazing everywhere. I actually think I might prefer it at 2, just because it goes a little quicker and there's not as much blocking because there are more places available. But yeah, it's good at all player counts.
We played this one at 4, I think.
Yeah, 4. That's the max.
Yeah, it was a little long, but it wasn't terrible. And like one of the players we played with was a little bit like AP prone, so like it went a little long, but it didn't outstay its welcome too badly. And I don't know, it felt really good. I definitely would play it again. I mean, this is probably one of those games that I give like a 6 rating to on my scale, which a 6 feels low on Board Game Geek, but like the way how I rate games is like a 10 is a game that like I absolutely am going to own that, even if everyone else in my game group owned it, because I want to have access to it all the time and I would play it anytime, any day. There's not a ton of games out there like that. And 8's a game that I'm probably going to own if there's not easy access to it, or like if it's something that I do think I want to play pretty frequently. But an 8's like a game that I'll play most any day. And like a 6 is a game that I might own, but I certainly will play someone else's copy of it if it's available. And so I'd put it in that 6 category where like, I don't know that I'm going to own this one necessarily, but I would definitely play your copy, Jason, and enjoy it.
Right, yeah, it's a good game. I'll play it whenever somebody wants to play it, so I'm up for it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a CMON game, right? I mean, like...
Yeah, it is. CMON's really stepping up their Euro games.
I can't believe it's a CMON game. Like, I would guess it's like a Hans im Glück, like, imported by Rio Grande or something game. I don't know. Like, it's really pretty, too. So
yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah. Well, with that, I think we've got a few honorable mentions.
Yeah, I can go ahead and get started on mine.
Yeah, go for it.
That's cool. All right, I have 3. I'll just talk about them quickly because we're running pretty long. I want to talk about Ulm, which is a game that I really like that doesn't get a ton of love. And the cool thing that this game has going for it has like this little action tile selection thing where you draw a tile out of the bag and you have to slide it in a row or a column. And whatever you push into are the 3 actions you get to take. So the next game I'm going to talk about is called Yunnan. This is about tea trading. And it's like a 2-part game where the first half you're auctioning for pieces of road and buildings to build on this route you're building in Yunnan. And then the second part of the game is you're actually building the route. So you're starting from Yunnan, I think, is the first city, and you're trying to go all the way around Asia to get to the farthest country or province, whatever. And the farther you can get, the more points you get, and you can take shortcuts by building bridges. It's really fun. It's not super popular, but I like it. And the third game I'll talk about is called Liguria, however you say it. This is essentially the prequel to Fresco. It's about the paint being delivered for the Fresco game. So you had these little boats, you're going around to people's docks, and you're picking up colored paints to complete these contracts that you need. And all the while doing that, you can send diplomats to their area to give you kind of like an area majority so you can score more points. And the basic mechanism of the game is at the beginning of the turn, you're drafting tiles out of this like bidding row. And whatever tiles you draft are what you're going to be doing for that turn. So you're trying to maximize the tiles that you're drafting, and you're also trying to draw these cards that let you move your boat in the correct ways. And it's a really fun game, and I think I got it for like $5, so it's well worth $5, that's for sure.
Awesome. I've seen Liguria or whatever on Amazon a few times, like on pretty heavy clearance, and it's caught my eye. I've never pulled the trigger on it, but your endorsement of it makes me think that when I can see it on like sale for under $10 or something again, it's something that I would definitely, give a pretty solid thought to.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. It's like light medium. It's pretty light, but it's really fun. There's enough strategy going on, and I think it's like 6 rounds too, so it doesn't go on forever.
Yeah. Well, cool. My honorable mentions, I just have 2 of them. I'm going to give 3 of them. One's just stupid. Like, it's just a stupid one to have. King of New York, King of Tokyo. Like, those games are just fun, like, dice chucking stupid games, but they have a name of a city in them, and that kind of gets through quite a bit. Like, King of Tokyo, you definitely feel like you're a big monster attacking a city and then attacking other monsters. So that's a fun game that I would have really considered maybe putting it on my top 3, but I didn't quite make it in there. I think also just because, like, I don't know, it has a name of a city in there as a part of it. It's not totally named after a city or a person. The
It's
next
barely
one,
named after anything. Yeah.
right. And then the other one is the Castles of Meking, Ludwig. It's another one too. Like, King Ludwig was definitely someone. Meking Ludwig was someone. That's a great game, but it's again not like totally. I don't know. It doesn't feel like the location is critical there. Like, I think just the fact that you're building a castle for someone who's nutty is like kind of the whole thing. And I mean, like, that said, I hear that if you look up the actual lore and the history of Mad King Ludwig, like, it's absolutely certainly like historically accurate, basically, to what's happening in that guy's life and how he was just this weirdo who like wanted this like really strange castle built for whatever reasons. And so, I mean, like, it's the fact that it's kind of based on this guy's life is kind of cool, but it just didn't quite make it into my top 3. The final one is one that I guarantee if I had played it and if it was actually like more of a, there's definitely places with this name, but I don't think the game's named after a place. So, like, if that makes sense, like, the word Concordia means like harmony or like happiness, like accord, like with each other in Roman. And I mean, like, I don't think they named it after a particular place, but there's certainly lots of places it's called Concordia now. Like, there's lots of cities and stuff named Concordia. But that game didn't quite make my list just based on the fact that, like, Concordia is one I've only played it with myself. Like, so I've set up like the game where I play with a couple players, a couple hands of cards and stuff, but I really did enjoy it that way, just as a learning game for myself. But I haven't had this one get to the table yet with a group to really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm sure that if we revisited this list, I would probably bend the rule a little bit and say, you know what, Concordia's making it on, even though it's not named after a real place, like, as itself being a place-based game, because it's just that awesome. Like, I'm really just looking forward to playing it. So that's my honorable mentions. So yeah, like you said, Jason, we're going a little long on this one, and I think we probably ought to wrap it up. So anything else?
No, I'm good. I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but there's always next time.
If you made it to this part of the podcast, I'm gonna like feel like I need to give you like a code word or something. Like, the code word is
Omaha.
Yeah, Omaha. So if you type in Omaha, you get a high 6 on the Facebook page. So
I love high 6s. They're the best.
So anyway, hey, tune in. I'm not sure if we're quite going to go to weekly shows, but that's something we're looking at doing here in the future. So tune in either a week or 2 weeks. If you subscribe, you don't have to worry about it. But we're going to talk next time about our favorite designers. And that's something that I think that we'll talk with a lot of passion about, because I have a couple of designers I absolutely adore. And I know Jason does too.
Yeah, I sure do.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Board Game Mechanics. Check us out at bgmechanics.com or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Board Game Mechanics, the Board Game Mechanics. So thank you again, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, see ya.